Welcome everybody to a wonderful webinar here with our good friend and partner, Adam Goldschmidt from Pixify and ERP Commerce Solutions. As you can see, we are very excited to talk to you today about all of the great partnerships that are at play to help provide our customers with a turnkey solution for making their e-commerce experience for their B2B clients super easy and best in class for sure. So thanks, Adam, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So as we get started here, I wanted to run over a quick agenda. We're asking about 45 minutes of your afternoon. If you were able to get some Grubhub lunch on us, all the better. Hopefully you had a chance to scarf that down. So we're going to turn it over to Adam here. He's going to explain to you, who is Pixify? How did they get started? What is this ERP commerce solution that they've developed? What are the business challenges that they're going to help solve with this solution? And we'll talk about some of those clients that have been successful on the product and a little bit about why and how this is a really ready-made solution for clients like yourselves. Why Adobe was the partner that they chose and the benefits of having a more flexible ERP solution in NetSuite and how Boomi connects everything together and what does it do exactly for you? What are the benefits for the client? So we can all win together with ERP Commerce. We have some time dedicated to Q&A, but we'd really like to have participation in an open dialogue throughout. Right, Adam? I think we're totally up for people popping questions in as they come about. We'll try to tackle those on the fly as best we can. Of course, if there's something that you stump us with, we'll promise to get back to you as quickly as we can too. Little housekeeping just before we let Adam take over and talk more in depth about this wonderful solution that they have to offer. We're going to be roughly 1 hour, we'll see 45 minutes to an hour. You are on mute, but we do want to have your questions as we discuss. So there's a questions box located here in that Q&A chat session. If you have any problems with audio or something's going on, Falana Callahan, our fabulous marketing manager, is behind the scenes. You can chat to us as well, but the Q&A box is where we want to tackle any thoughts, comments, questions. If you want to do some digital applause, feel free. We're all up for that too.
Awesome. I'm actually going to move my Q&A over to the other window because it was blocking my slide, but thanks for queuing everything up there, Aaron. I think everyone joining us is pretty familiar with you, so I figured I'll just introduce myself. I'm Adam Goldschmidt. I'm the practice director here at Pixify. We are a net at work company. If I move over a little bit, you could see that logo over here. But we are the creators of ERP Commerce. We are part of the net at work ecosystem, so we have a tremendous amount of experience in the ERP world. We are a top NetSuite Oracle partner. We have over 6,000 customers across our business with offices in 18 states across provinces across North America. And we also offer a full suite of services. We actually have 14 different technology practices throughout the organization. And because of our affinity and our knowledge and deep expertise around the ERP and connecting all of these systems together through our ecosystem, that's really put us in a prime position to launch this ERP commerce solution. And I'm really excited to be here with you guys today to kind of talk through that and give you a little bit more information.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam. So who is Pixify? I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm Ron. Yeah, so let me talk a little bit about Pixify. So we are an agency, but we're not your traditional e-commerce agency. We're focused on one thing, and that's unleashing the power of our customers' business, both B2B and B2C. That's it. We've got experts across the board on e-commerce and dedicated ERP practices, obviously with NetSuite and some other names that we won't throw out there right now. But we are that one partner that customers rely on to deliver that unified ERP commerce solution. And the goal here is to enable all of our clients' strategic e-commerce objectives, facilitating growth and maximizing profitability. That's Pixify. When we look at ERP Commerce, our solution, ERP Commerce is an e-commerce solution that allows companies to go live with B2B and B2C sites that are deeply integrated with their NetSuite ERP in 60 days or less. We're using market-leading best-in-class e-commerce platforms in Adobe Commerce, and we'll talk a little bit more about the value that Adobe brings to the table here in a little bit. We use Boomi, formerly Dell Boomi, as our integration middleware, the iPaaS integration platform that we use to facilitate all the integrations. And by using this suite of products and solutions and configuring it the way we have in this pre-built subscription package, it allows companies, again, to go live fast, 60 days or less with our core solution. That's going to allow you to address your immediate needs, the time to value that you need to see today. But it's also going to put you on platforms and give you the tools that you need to support all of your future e-commerce growth. So while we are very much concerned about getting you live in the here and now, and if you don't sell online yet, really to start dipping your toes in that water, which everybody knows they need to start doing, we'll help you get you over that hump. We'll help launch the site, but again, give you that future-proof forever platform that can facilitate everything. And then when we look at specific business challenges that we look to solve with this solution, there's a few. The first one is that we have tons of customers who are running multiple disconnected and disparate systems for their online commerce or their back office. So they might be running one system for OMS, another for WMS. They'll have an integration to their ERP. They'll have an integration to their CRM. They'll have 3PL partners and EDI partners that they trade with. They're looking to centralize all of these integrations into a singular hub. These companies have complex e-commerce and integration processes. They've invested quite a bit in their ERP implementation and those workflows, and we want to maintain those investments and those workflows as the source of truth that runs the online business. And the solution is looking to solve on that challenge without having to add additional complexity. Again, we spoke about the need to go live fast, and we are still in a pandemic as far as I know. Maybe I wish we weren't, but at the end of the day, I think everyone realizes just how important selling online is today. And we obviously want to help customers see that time to value and go live fast. When you're looking at NetSuite in particular, there aren't many pre-built integrations. There are other solutions out there, but a fully baked integrated solution for e-commerce that provides the order, shipment, product, inventory integrations that all businesses need. There aren't any pre-built integrations for these systems, and we bring that to the table. These other platforms that customers in the NetSuite ecosystem are working with lack the ability to customize the user experience to the degree that a modern merchant online needs to. They're lacking in the standardized content management capabilities and personalization tools. Artificial intelligence is almost more important to B2B than B2C in that sense. And then finally, these are companies that need to be able to scale their technology. They're growing companies. They're starting to sell online. That's going to increase revenue. It's going to take revenue from other places and make it a more efficient process to collect that revenue and make your user experience great. And we need technology that can scale with that growth so that you can expand your website functionality as the need becomes available.
Yeah, Adam, I think, when we talk about just e-commerce in general, over the last several suite worlds, there's been a big push for suite commerce. And obviously that's a great product too, but you want to talk a little bit maybe about what the core differences are from that product and the audience that it's intended for and where you fill the gap?
Sure. And in the next transition, we were going to actually talk about Adobe Commerce. So before we do that, I don't want to bash suite commerce too much because there are certain customers and use cases where it makes sense. But typically when we look at, the magic quadrants of the world and the Forrester waves of the world and all of those market leading, those market research documents that are produced year over year, one thing that you'll see right out the gate that differentiates Adobe Commerce is that they are a leader in the quadrant for 5 years running. Adobe Commerce used to be known as Magento Commerce. That might be the more common name. I typically will call it, or commonly will call it Magento even still. They just changed the name officially in April, so I'm getting used to it. But when we look at Oracle and we look at the Oracle solution, that's down in the visionaries. It's really more intended for the NetSuite user. There's no, so obviously, companies need to be able to be independent of their ERP, right? So if they ever decided that they were going to move off of a NetSuite, and obviously we're not telling anyone to do that, but suite commerce then becomes useless to that customer. So obviously giving them the option to scale and use their e-commerce site regardless of their ERP is going to be huge. Suite commerce also has some limitations. And one of the things that's the real benefit to an Adobe and a Magento is the ecosystem. You have a marketplace of thousands of pre-built design themes and extensions. You have hundreds of agency partners throughout the country, throughout North America, thousands of resources around the world who know and work on this platform. So being able to support your organization and build out internal teams or bring in specialists to handle certain areas of the development that you need specific help on, because we're on this market leading, widely used platform, more transactions take place on Adobe Commerce than any other e-commerce platform in the world globally.
Wow. Yeah.
That puts customers at a much more advantageous spot, and it gives them more tools to go to market with as they hit the, as they start to develop this business around online commerce. Sweet Commerce, again, it provides you with value up to a point, but when you want to start customizing it and you have more robust needs and more customizations and things like that, you're going to push the limits as to what you can do with the platform, and you're going to push the limits as far as what you can gather resource-wise to work on it, because there aren't very many resources and agencies that can even support Sweet Commerce implementations. So, that's one of the things to consider. When we talk about Adobe Commerce specifically, and this is a pretty heavy slide, and we'll obviously provide this out to all the guests afterwards if they want to review it and the recording and all of that. But Adobe really provides value and provides unparalleled feature sets on a few key areas. The number one is engaging with your customers. You want to provide them with a really beautiful and easy user experience. And where that comes from is merchandising, being able to put your products in the right place. Personalization, we talked about leveraging machine learning, artificial intelligence to give your customers product recommendations based on their past browsing or order histories, showing them what they want to see without having to make them search and browse and look for it. Obviously mobile is key, Aaron. I don't remember the last time I actually was in my house and needed to check out a website that I walked over to my computer. Like, that's just for work, right? Like, most of your customers are interacting with you on their mobile devices. So the design themes and the capabilities of mobile, it's mobile first, actually. Like, we're actually focused on the mobile experience almost more so than the desktop experience. And we're doing that through responsive themes, designs, and front end websites that can adapt to the size of the device and browser that you're looking at it on. We're talking about growth, right? So being able to manage multiple sites, let's say you're a company who sells direct to consumer as well as B2B, Magento gives you the capability to integrate with your ERP one time, have one installation, one license, and then farm that out into multiple, what we would call web stores. So the ability to manage all of your online businesses through one channel is, delivers a tremendous amount of efficiency and cost savings. It's a global platform. So a lot of our customers are selling outside of North America. They're selling in Europe. They're selling in the UK. They're selling in Australia, in China. Being able to support selling in any currency language, with any tax rules that are specific to local jurisdictions, Magento provides all that. Adobe Commerce provides all of that. And then the ability to, again, support these additional revenue streams and bring in new sites as your business develops, set up microsites, customer specific sites, things like that, managing digital products and subscriptions. These are all included in the native feature set of Adobe Commerce. Sorry, I got to take a little break just because I'm talking a lot, right? But
yeah, no, I think that what I would add too is what I've seen in those Suite World presentations and in the demo data sets and in the customer interactions that I've had with Suite Commerce. They've got some pretty good tools for selling retail merchandise. If you've got a bunch of jackets you're looking to sell, if you're selling, jewelry, I know Kristen Cavallari's all over the YouTube channels with her great, product company there. But when you have a more robust customer channel, as you mentioned, when you're selling B2B and you're selling B2C, and you have other functions and price lists and EDI partners that you talked about too, right? This is just going to give you so much more of a robust solution to go to market with and expand, which is what everybody is just trying to do. And we talked about the expansion that we've seen during this pandemic, where everybody on the flip of a dime, if they weren't prepared to sell products online, to connect with customers online, to be able to open up their marketplace to a global customer base, they were in a world of hurt. And I think that's something that people need to get ahead of, because it's just going to continue that shift that maybe they were thinking about doing 3 years or 5 years happened in 6 months.
Yeah. I think one of the industries that's really gotten a boost from the pandemic is the cosmetics industry. in particular. I think a lot of people are spending more time on camera and on Zoom and taking care of their appearance a little bit more, actually, like, which is interesting because you think that that would go up.
Yeah, sure.
There's some reports out there that the cosmetics industry, because of the Zoom, pandemic world, has actually been fairly well. And I bring that up because there's a lot of specifics to cosmetics industry, and when you're dealing with higher end brands, you know, they can go to market, and we've seen this where they'll launch a brand and it's a high end brand, and day one, first year, maybe they're at $500,000 to $1 million in revenue, but all it takes is one major influencer to post something, and all of a sudden you're going from $1 million to 10 million like that. So that's something that customers need to be thinking about, and when you think about it, like just in life in general, right? People sometimes are often scared of success, right? And we're nervous about, when I do all of these things right, the new problems that it might present to me. And that's what we're kind of trying to get ahead of, right? Like, let's think down the road. We're going into e-commerce, not just again, because of today, this is our future. This is how, if I deal with mom and pop shops, and the second generation is taking over, and that that millennium kid who's now a 25, 30-year-old fresh out of college type of entrepreneurial spirit that's running the family business, when they're actually running the family business, you're not going to be doing business with them the same way that you have been for the last 20 years with their parents, right? So we need to get ahead of that. We need to start thinking about how are customers going to transact with us in the future, and make the investments now so that you are ready, so that when that social media post hits, when the next COVID or pandemic, God forbid, hits, you're ready at that scale. You're ready to get to, $10,000 a day worth of orders, coming through rapid fire, syncing to your ERP so that you can optimize your fulfillment and get those orders out right away and keep your customers happy and drive that experience. So yeah, these are conversations that we're having a lot with customers around that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I wanted to just cover real quick on the cloud hosting stuff for Adobe, and then we can move on because I don't want to spend too much more time in Adobe land. But one of the really, really cool benefits, and this is really prompted by some of the market competition, because Adobe a few years ago really started to see that, the Shopify's and BigCommerce's, the hosted SaaS model e-commerce solutions were really starting to take form and make it easier on customers. So they launched Adobe Cloud Hosting to support Magento, so that customers have that all-in-one license model, where I pay for my license to use the platform and I get all the tools that are included. Plus, Adobe is going to give me all of the infrastructure that I need to support a high-performing website. And that's huge, because most merchants who especially those who are dipping their toes in the water, but those who are even just starting to scale, really don't know the first thing about how to host a website, and the infrastructure needed, and the DevOps that are needed, the code repositories, and all of the best practices that you want your developers to follow. You want to bring in somebody who's built the solution for the solution you're using, and obviously going direct to the source and getting the hosting through Adobe is a tremendous value here as well. 95% of the customers that we're working with are hosted in Adobe's cloud. And then there's all the other stuff that like every platform should have. Not everyone does, but your content management. Adobe has a drag and drop site content management tool called the Page Builder, where again, if you could just send an email with an attachment, you can create a beautiful content experience for your customers. It's all user-friendly, code-free. The ability to do product recommendations, upsells, cross-sells, promoting different types of products in different areas of the sites to different customers. The ability to have a rich search engine that's going to give you not just the results you're expecting, but the ones that might be a little bit off the beaten path that you're actually looking for. Being able to pick up what these customers are trying to get at and serve that to them automatically. These are some of the things that Adobe really does to differentiate themselves.
You want to talk a little bit more about how it all comes together here with this Boomi connector?
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, obviously Adobe plays a major role, right? That's the e-commerce, and that's what the customer is interacting with. There's a lot of other features that our merchants, our customers are using to create that experience. And obviously Boomi is a huge part of our equation as well. So if you recall a couple slides ago, I showed you that Gartner Magic Quadrant for the e-commerce platforms. Similarly, Boomi is sitting right up there in that top right leader quadrant as well. I think we're on 8 years running in the iPaaS quadrant for Boomi these days. I want to talk through some of those benefits. So number one, we talk about Suite Commerce, right? Talk about some of the other connectors that might be available. And the term, sorry, I'm a little hiccup here. The term that we'll use for those are point solutions. A point solution is something that that integrates directly into the other solution. There's no middleware. It's point to point. Everything is tied directly to each other. These point solutions often at times lack the ability to flex and customize. They're built already to do out of the box. So to try to push the limits and configure it, you're limited in that, and you're limited in who can do that work. If you're working with a point solution, like I said, with eCommerce, there's other solutions out there, you're limited to either that partner themselves or a very select group of partners that are authorized and have the knowledge to work on those platforms. With a Boomi, just like with Adobe, market leading solution, tons of enablement, huge communities of resources out there, pre-built connectors that can allow you to connect to other systems. All this stuff is coming with that subscription, and it's giving you that best-in-class integration platform. It's not just about, again, to that concept of not thinking about what's in front of you here today, but looking 5-10 years down the road with where your commerce is going to develop. So obviously you need to integrate today with your ERP and have your seamlessly integrated e-commerce ERP experience. But you also might have a CRM system or an order management system or 3PL partners or EDI partners that you're trading with that also require integrations. Boomi will support all of that. It's integrate everything is the tagline actually. And through dozens of pre-built connectors that they have for applications that you might be running today, and the ability to set up customized connectors that run through the platform through different endpoints. We really are very, very confident in this solution as one of the only, if not the only, e-commerce solution for NetSuite that is not just about e-commerce and NetSuite. And that's important because we do want to streamline all your integrations. There's no reason to have an integration with partner A running here and partner B running here when you have a hub right in front of you that can handle all of it. And companies are seeing tremendous efficiencies from that. Aside from the fact that everything is centralized and easy to manage, again, if you know that your goal is to integrate everything through Boomi, you're going to strategize your organization around that. You're going to make sure that you're either aligned with a partner that has strong Boomi resources that can support these things, or you'll build out your own team to do those things. And then you can start getting your teams up to speed and your technical resources working on some of these integrations themselves.
Yeah, we've been very impressed with the Boomi ecosystem as a whole. There are, like you said, point-to-point solutions that our customers use that we like as well. So if you're doing like a Salesforce to NetSuite integration, right, it might be a faster, easier play to get something that's turnkey. But when you're building something that's going to be so impactful for your business, right, having all of these pieces come together and Boomi as a partner, I think is just an optimal choice.
Yeah, a term that's been thrown around lately a lot that I'm starting to hear, as we go into the new year, especially, is a digital operations platform. A lot of companies hear the words digital transformation, and what does that mean? It means moving to the cloud and all of those types of things. But really, what businesses are looking for is an operations platform that can support all of their ongoing business, right? And then to move everything into the cloud and to move everything to digital, and embracing the concept of an integration platform like is really going to help, light speed that for you. Because it's a next gen way of looking at integrations. That's going to really be the rocket fuel that fuels your growth, because you got the platform now, and now you can build around your platform.
So tell us more about ERP Commerce and what it is.
I think a good natural. So we've talked a lot about Boomi, why we use Boomi. We've talked about Adobe, why we use Adobe. But obviously the secret sauce to all this is how we've put it together and how we've created these integrations. And, I spoke to the experience that we have within the network ecosystem and knowing ERP. I've been doing this now for 18 years. I've been in the e-commerce space, and we know a lot about our customers and our prospects and what they're looking for. So when we embarked on the journey of building out ERP Commerce and thinking about, okay, what does this need to do out of the box, and what are the features that we can flex and scale and do those more one-to-one, it was actually a fairly easy conversation for us. So what we're looking at on the screen right now are the 7 standard touch points. That's what we call them. That's what pretty much, based on our knowledge, any NetSuite user who needs an integrated experience on e-commerce with e-commerce needs these 7 data points to interact with their ERP. So we're going to talk about products, inventory, pricing, customers and contacts, orders, invoices, and shipping. That's something that everybody needs. Some of them only need 4 or 5 of them. Some of them only need 1 or 2 of them. Some of them may need 10. And there's 3 that aren't on this page that need to facilitate certain workflows. And that's okay. And that's what this is intended for. Because again, there's the here and now, and then there's the future, and there's the need to flex and scale. So some of the other touch points that we can enable through ERP Commerce that, again, are not part of the core solution, mainly because it's very difficult to standardize these types of things. For example, no two companies handle RMAs the same. There's no standard process to handle an RMA. There might be a standard process in NetSuite, but everyone uses that a little differently. So when we talk about touch points like RMAs or quotes to order or account balances and things like that, we're going to tend to look at that with the business specifically. But because of the way that we've connected to NetSuite and to Adobe through Boomi, all of these and more can be facilitated through the platform. So I want to just go into some of those standards, right? So like these are the ones that, again, like when I start to explain these to you, even if you're new to e-commerce, like you're going to get that, why we're doing this, right? So your products, why would anybody want to create a product 2 times, right? Like if I'm creating the product in NetSuite and it's going to be enabled for e-commerce, send that to the e-commerce site automatically. So that's exactly what ERP Commerce does. Whenever you create a product or update a product in NetSuite, it's going to automatically create or update that product record in Adobe Commerce automatically. We have some variations to the workflows that we can put in place. So, maybe you're not storing all of your product data in NetSuite. Maybe you're missing your marketing descriptions or your SEO copy or product videos and things like that that typically wouldn't go into the ERP. So we can sync the product record over so we have that connection, but we could bring it over as like a disabled product. So it's there, it's in the database, it's ready to go. And then your merchandising team can go in and add the images and make everything look pretty and then throw it up on the site. But again, the importance of syncing that up is to connect it to NetSuite. When we create that product, it's going to have an ID that associates back to NetSuite, and we're going to sync inventory and pricing and everything off of those IDs moving forward. And that's just, that delivers a tremendous amount of value, not having to, and the more you can put into NetSuite, if you want to add some user defined custom fields, that's another way that you can leverage this more powerfully, because then we could just add some additional mapping and get that data into the appropriate places and maybe even activate your products automatically if they're ready for it. Once we have, and I just got off a call right before we jumped on this webinar, and to this customer, this was like their biggest challenge is inventory, right? Like you want to make sure that what you're selling on your website is going to end up in your customer's hands. There's no worse experience for an e-commerce customer than buying somebody and never getting it, right? And expecting that you're going to get it, right? Like if you're going to tell me that it's going to be out of stock and it's on back order, that's one thing. But if I place an order on Amazon and I don't read the fine print that it's shipping from overseas and it's not going to get here for a month, I'm going to be a little bit annoyed, right? So we want to do that. All our B2B customers, our B2C customers, we want to make sure that we're constantly reading the ERP inventory levels and relaying them over to Adobe so that we can make sure that we're not overselling. We obviously have workflows, and Adobe supports this multiple warehouses. So if an organization has multiple distribution centers that they're going to fulfill orders from, that's all facilitated through the platform and our configurations as well. Pricing is an interesting one, and I actually consider this my favorite my favorite touch point rather. And this is really more B2B focused. B2C, we'll bring in the retail price when we sync the product over. But a lot of B2B companies, they're going to offer either tier-based or customer-specific pricing to their wholesale customers. So not every user that's going to log in is going to see that same price. We have the ability through ERP Commerce for your individual customers as they log in, because we're going to know who they are in NetSuite already, and we'll talk about the customers in a second. We're able to pull their specific pricing that you have stored on the price list in NetSuite to that customer, providing them with a super seamless experience. So I don't have to see that this item costs $80 and I pay $60. I'm going to put it in my cart at $60, and I'm going to see that in real time, and we're going to sync that in through NetSuite for those B2B customers, so you can support multiple different prices to different types of users. And that'll also factor in any like seasonal promotions that you have configured to those price lists, et cetera. Customers,
I want to touch just a little bit on that, Adam, if you could, just because I know there's a lot of other e-commerce solution players in this space, and some smaller companies may go with like a Shopify. We see that a lot, right? And then as they grow, they start to have issues, even with a connector, on things like pricing. Have you all ran into that? Has that been a driver for business?
So frankly, like we haven't run into it with ERP Commerce, because again, that's part of why we've aligned with Adobe, right? Like there's certain capabilities that are native to the platform that resolve those challenges right out the gate. So again, what was the example that you just gave?
Just with pricing updates,
All right, so
basically the pricing updates, the customer specific pricing, particularly in a B2B marketplace where you do have price quantity breaks, maybe negotiated contract pricing for your wholesalers and things like that. Seem to in a system like Shopify, it's really more built for, you know, me or Falana to have a coupon price break, but not a negotiated contracted price list.
Well, that's honestly because Shopify doesn't have the B2B feature set. So again, I speak to Adobe Commerce. Like, part of the reason why we're partnered with Adobe is because of the robust feature set, because of the fact that they have native B2B tools that are predictable for us to integrate with time and time again. Shopify does not have a wholesale functionality at all. So anybody who's selling B2B on Shopify is doing one of two things. Either they're using an extension that helps with the B2B selling, or they're doing a highly customized version of Shopify. Either way, that's additional complexity, and those are wheels that are being reinvented that don't need to be, right? So as far as like managing wholesale pricing, if your platform doesn't support wholesale business, of course you can't manage wholesale pricing. There's obviously ways to configure it to do it and get your end result, but it's not going to be as seamless as it is with an ERP Commerce, where rather than, we're actually even bypassing Magento's pricing. We have Magento's B2B structure that we can use. So we're not even going to look and see how Magento is going to fulfill that, because Magento does have the capability to support B2B pricing without any integration. But if you've already set that up in NetSuite, let's just do a direct read and say, when I hit a page as your customer, say, Adam's hitting page 1, 2, 3, what should we be showing him here? Right? Who's this cut? He's going to see these 10 items. What price should he see for these 10 items? Not what price does everybody see, and then we'll give him a discount on the back end. So, you know, and again,
and what items should you see too, right? We touched on that earlier. They might not have all the available items.
That's right. So you want to, again, it's visibility to your customer, giving them, you know, showing them what they expect to see as they go through that journey and not making them look for it. Customers and contacts, this is also a B2B functionality, right? So with B2C, typically you're not going to have a customer record in NetSuite for those users. You'll probably have like a B2C web type of customer that's like a placeholder, and all of your orders that are placed for B2C will sync into that one group so that you can group your e-commerce direct to consumer orders together. But you're not going to create a customer in NetSuite for each of your individual retail customers. But what you will do is, for all of your business customers, all of your wholesale customers, they will have accounts and customer records created in NetSuite. What ERP Commerce is going to do is it's going to automatically create those customer accounts in Adobe. So you create a customer account, it goes into NetSuite. All of a sudden, they're going to get an email from Adobe saying, as long as they obviously meet the criteria to get an online account, that says, "Welcome to our new online store. Click here to update your password." You know, and enjoy browsing, and you can customize those messages as much as you want. So we're going to create those B2B customers automatically. They're not going to have to go and register. If they're already in your system, they'll have an account. There might be some handholding needed to get them there and drive adoption. And those are things that we can talk about in a later session, maybe, on how we can do that and how we can enable that for customers. But the point is that you shouldn't have to create and manage customers in two spots.
Right. No.
Then obviously, as your orders are placed online, we need to get those orders into NetSuite. We need to get them into NetSuite so that they can be fulfilled, so that they can be shipped. We can also have orders go back from NetSuite to Adobe Commerce. So let's say you have a B2B customer who typically does not order online, and those orders go straight into the ERP. We can expose those on the website as well, so they can have access to their full order history. And then as those orders fulfill, they'll get invoiced and they'll get shipped. All of the invoices, all of the shipment details get synced over to Adobe Commerce to let the customer know, here's your invoice, to let the customer know, here's the tracking number, here's the items that are in the package, here's when you're going to get it. All of these standard shipping notification tools, we're going to automate that through ERP Commerce by taking that shipment record and automatically bringing it over to Adobe from NetSuite. So how do we package it up? Let's get into some of the fun stuff, right? So we're at 36,000 annual. Full disclosure, the 36 annual does not include your Adobe Commerce license costs. That's going to be your license to use Adobe, as well as your hosting costs to support that. That you would get directly from Adobe, and anybody who wants. I'm more than glad to make the intro and get that conversation going. But what our solution does include for that 36,000 annual is, number one, you get a website with that. Built, functional, full template, default template. You can actually see a little bit of a picture of it in my top right corner. That's the default, right? The logo, the color scheme, the fonts, the buttons, any of the images and graphics, all of that is edited through the Magento/Adobe admin tool. So you don't have to code this to update it. You want to change the Pixify logo to the Oasis logo and change the Pixify orange to the Oasis green, go right ahead. And it's all capable through the manager. And again, I actually like to say that, I may have said it before, so apologies if it's a repeat, but anybody who can upload an email with an attachment can manage content on an Adobe Commerce website. Go through a 2-hour training session and you're good to go. Obviously, you'll get better at it with time, but we're not talking about having to code. We're not having building content and doing HTML. You're dragging and dropping and browsing for images and inserting them into a template that makes it very, very easy to manage. So this solution we're giving you, and it's completely manageable. Included will be the Boomi license. So with Boomi, you could have multiple endpoints, you know, depending on how many systems you're integrating with, but the core solution comes with 2, one for NetSuite, one for Adobe Commerce. If you need to add in additional endpoints, let's say you want to bring in a CRM workflow and things like that, there's some add-on costs to do that, but not significantly higher. I had mentioned how the emails go out to customers when they sign up for accounts and things like that. 95% of this integration is managed through Adobe directly via a plugin that we install. So when you're an ERP Commerce customer, in addition to us setting all of this up and integrating eCommerce and Adobe Commerce with your NetSuite through Boomi, we're also going to install a plugin into Adobe. Again, those non-technical users need to be able to manage the integration. That'll allow that. So things like inventory syncing intervals. I want to decide that I want to sync inventory once a day, but then next week I want to do it every other day or every hour. We can adjust those intervals through a tool where you just select it from a drop down and save it. You can configure and customize the emails that your customers get, include branding, images, logos, things like that, make it a really pretty email. You can create these emails and decide which email goes to which customer when these actions happen. Let's say you're doing inventory reconciliation or you're doing an ERP upgrade and your ERP is going to be down for a couple of days. You have the capability to turn off the integration and work with that starting point of wherever you left off last. So, all of those controls, we make those available as well as the alerts and the monitors. So you'll know through Adobe if a record does not sync rather. Let's say there's an order that can't be created for some reason because there's an invalid character in the address or something like that. Anytime an order errors, anytime a product creation errors, an inventory sync errors, ERP Commerce is going to capture that in a log and you'll actually have access to see what's failing and why it's failing if there's any issues. We'll configure the integration to NetSuite and Boomi. We'll also provide annual support and maintenance on the integration itself. So if something's not working because of the technology, we got you covered. Is that in that annual licensing fee? If there's an issue with data, for example, let's say we're trying to create an account for a customer and we can't because they don't have an email address in NetSuite, we'll give you the tools you need to address that. It's not necessarily covered in the warranty, but again, all of those remediation tools are available through the tool. And there's one other model that we use, maybe relevant, maybe not, is the integration only. So let's say there's a customer who is already running Magento or Adobe Commerce and they're running NetSuite and they just need us to come connect the dots and do the integration. We would sell this as an integration only SKU where you don't get the website. You just get all of the back end integration pieces of it. It's a lower price point. A lot of the times we'll use this also for a customer who, let's say they're a hugely widely known national brand that has their own in-house creative agency almost, and they have a super unique user interface that they want to design, highly customized user experience and designs. If they're not going to use the ERP Commerce theme out of the box and they want to do something more day one, we'll usually treat that as a separate project and put them on the integration only to cover the costs that we need there. But most of the customers that we're working with have not started selling online yet, or if they have, they're on one of these platforms and they need to scale and they go with that full solution. But we do have the option to strip out the store part.
I mean, I think it's super affordable from what I've seen. I mean, think about how much money some customers dump into just the website alone without any kind of integration, or integration is sometimes an afterthought, right? To have a very affordable, essentially a part-time employee cost,
right?
To have a one-stop shop turnkey solution is what one of the key reasons that I was so attracted to partnering with you, Adam, and the team there for this type of solution. I mean, I've seen customers really get into these custom website solutions with marketing agencies that just bleed and bleed, it seems like, and it takes forever. And it, you know, and when,
yeah,
you know, perfect can be the enemy of done in a lot of those situations. Has been my feedback. You know,
yeah.
you'd be much better. You'd be selling stuff. You'd be making money, and instead you're spending it.
And there's ways to you know, go from the shallow end into the deep end, right? Like
Yes.
you could do that, right? But if you're, you know, if you're jumping in on some of these platforms in the shallow end, you're gonna have to get up and walk to another pool when you want to swim in the 8 foot tall water, right?
Mm-hmm.
So going into a pool that goes from 3 feet to 8 feet that you can swim up into the deep end without having to get over new fears and all of that.
Yeah.
You know, that's the analogy that I like to use, right? Like you want that runway to do what you need to do. You go in and you go with a lesser solution. A, you're limiting yourself because you're not really making the investment that you need to do. And B, and also furthermore to that, you're not getting the things that are going to drive revenue. And B, it becomes a cost center. It becomes something that is not a revenue driver. It's an expense because every time you need to do something different, you're ripping and replacing. And it's going to be very hard to justify that ROI. So making the initial investment in a market leading solution, in a maybe it's something that's a little bit bigger than you need today, but knowing that you're hoping to outgrow that in a few years really is a great paradigm shift for customers to have. Is think about this as a revenue driver. Think about what I'm getting by putting a 36,000 annual in, how that's going to impact my revenue as opposed to spending $200,000 up front to do an integration.
Yeah, and let's say that you already spent the $200,000 and you're in this position that you're in now. Right here, you know, paying a $15, $20 an hour person, right? First, we know it's hard to find people. So first you got to recruit them, you got to train them, you got to retain them, manually input and update 2 different databases, and hopefully not screw up and mess up a customer order, you know, the customer sat piece of it. Like there's no way you could do that for this cost or less from the value.
Let me give you another use case even that makes sense, right? Like because you hit the nail on the head, right? It's about efficiencies. We have a customer today that's running ERP Commerce that does 0 functional revenue on their site. They don't even have a buy now button, yet they're running ERP Commerce. The reason for that is because through all of those other integrations, take out the fact that no orders being sent from the site to the ERP, the fact that we're able to expose all of this customer's documents, their invoices, their order history, the fact that they can just go in and browse catalogs and see what's available in inventory, that's saving headcount. That's 3 people that don't need to be on the phones all day getting this information. People and they're calling on demand, and it's click on the site, log in with the password that you just got, and you'll have access to everything you need to do. So there's companies that are using ERP Commerce. We call it the portal use case, where it's not really an e-commerce site yet, but it's that customer experience, which is huge for B2B. And even that's going to be a revenue driver at some point, a little harder to quantify it, but it's certainly going to be a huge cost savings. And you're going to find tremendous efficiencies in terms of how you get to interact with your customers and make that, you know, less friction.
That's a good segue, because I had a question pop up here from one of our attendees around a use case. So do you have a good story to tell of a customer success story that outside of that one that
I have a couple. And you know, it's a fortunate week to tell these stories because as you all know, the big holiday of Black Friday, Cyber Monday took place. Forget Thanksgiving. That's not important anymore, right? So Black Friday.
Well, we're in the middle of Hanukkah too. So
that too. That's right. That's right. Yeah. That came from out of nowhere this year. But you know, but when we talk about like the Black Friday season, and I, again, being in this industry for 18 years, I've seen Black Friday, Cyber Monday success, and I've seen Black Friday, Cyber Monday failures, and I've seen things go wrong. We have a couple of customers that have come to us in the last month. I'll name drop them. One of them is called Augustinus Butter. It's a high-end skincare company owned by Victoria Beckham. Another one is a company. Of
course, everybody knows that. I have a caseload in my.
Yeah, exactly. That's I've noticed your complexion looks really, really nice today. And then there's, for me, this is more interesting to me, is T3 Micro, which is high-end, you know, hair dryers and accessories and stuff like that. So, you know, so those 2 customers, they actually both launched in the last 2 months, which is, you know, right up against when you probably don't want to launch a site that close to your biggest season, right? Like these are obviously huge online retailers that do several millions of dollars online, and the traffic spikes considerably. considerably. So we'll talk about T3 Micro a little bit. So we actually we had a series of they wanted to set up a couple of different types of alerts, a little bit more proactive than reactive. It's not about knowing what failed and why it failed. It's trying to predict what might fail. And we had helped them configure some of those. And the goal was to really launch them. A couple days, launch these updates. They weren't high code updates, to launch them a little bit before Black Friday, Cyber Monday, to help out with the monitoring and making sure there were no issues. We had everything ready to go. We were ready to deploy it like early last week. Like, it wasn't, again, a big thing. It's easy to test, even though code had been locked down. Like, we wanted to get these alerts. It was nothing touching the website. But because, and then some media hit early that drove traffic sooner. So their sale actually started on the 19th instead of the 26th. And they started seeing that volume pick up before they were expecting to. ERP Commerce helped them get through 11,000 orders a day over the last week and a half, which is a remarkable number. Their typical average per day, their average per day is about 2,000 to 3,000, I think. So literally like tripling, quadrupling the value. Doing that, we just went live with them a couple months ago, and we started the project 2 months before that. So to go from being completely unintegrated to being tightly integrated to support the scale of a Black Friday, Cyber Monday, so much so that let's forget those alerts because everything is running so smoothly. Like, let's just leave it. That's like one of my little favorite case studies, is that like, here we are putting something in place to help make sure that things are running smoothly. And we don't even want to do that because they're running too smoothly almost. So, like, those are the success stories we like to hear. And obviously, if you do some math and figure out what it would have taken to take 11,000 orders and key those into the ERP to be fulfilled, or however else they were handling it before, you probably made your money back already on the investment.
Right. Yeah. In one weekend.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Well, hey, let's talk about how to get a hold of us, how to learn more, and thank everybody for participation today.
Yeah. Before we do that, let me just real quick, I just want to this is a slide I like to cover on, because like, this is what it's about, right? It's about
absolutely.
We gave those case studies, but like, these are the things, if there were like a bunch of takeaways, 5 takeaways I want people to know about what is ERP Commerce, what does it provide today, I would tell you, number one, 0 to integrated commerce, 60 days. There's nobody else in the ecosystem that can tell that to the NetSuite world. It's a pre-built but fully customizable and extendable integration platform. So again, it's built, it's there, you can go live fast, but there's a lot more you can do with it down the road. It's a huge ecosystem of resources, both on the Adobe side and on the Boomi side, on these market-leading, industry-leading solutions. They provide limitless customization and configuration. That's important. Nothing that you want to do to run your business is not possible through this platform. Might be some costs associated, but everything is possible. And finally, the business process-driven technology. We like to say the ERP should be the source of truth that runs the online business, but it goes beyond that. It's putting in place technology platforms that are going to support how your business develops, as opposed to changing the way your business develops based on the technology that you're running. And that's really the core of it.
Yeah, I would add, what I've heard from you, and it seems like your customers experience too, the ease of use, right? I mean, I've seen these e-commerce projects take 6 months, 8 months, because they do require someone that has a specific talent. I know you talked about, the ubiquitous developer ecosystem out there, but it looks really easy to put together a nice, website that will start driving revenue and cash flow to your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Totally agree. So so here's my my contact info. I think we missed adding yours to the slide, and I think it says Drew here too, so I'll just clean that up on the spot. But yeah, this is all my contact information. Obviously, the Oasis team knows how to get in touch with me as well, so feel free to reach out to Aaron or anyone else you're dealing with, and they can. But all our social handles are here. If you want to get to us on Twitter, I'm a big fan on LinkedIn. I do post there quite a bit. I try to keep, not just about promotion, but really just getting thought leadership out there. So if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's usually some good content floating around. At least I try to post something good at least once, 3 times a week. And I'd love to hear with you guys. And, if anybody has any other questions, I see that 2 more just hit the question box, so I could take those. I don't know if you want to take them, Aaron, but I can announce them. But Jack, coincidentally, that's my son's.
Sure,
so that's cool. It's his birthday next week. How much does Adobe Commerce cost? Because I guess that's a good question, right? We told him that the ERP Commerce cost doesn't include the Adobe. Unfortunately, I can't answer that question for you right now. We have to register with Adobe. There's a process that we'll go through with them. I will say it's primarily driven based on your revenue online. So if you're just starting out, your cost will be lower. If you're doing 20, 30, 50 million online already, it's going to be a little bit of a higher cost point, but it's going to be peanuts compared to what you're actually doing in terms of revenue. So I'm not really allowed to give pricing on that. At a very, very broad level, I can tell you, you can expect to pay with hosting included anywhere from 40,000 to 400,000 annual. Is that a good enough range? Like, I mean, again, if you're getting up into those 100, 200 million tiers, you're going to be paying a lot more for that license because there's more infrastructure needed to support that type of stuff. But it's not just about the revenue. They'll look at your product catalog. They'll look at your average order volume. So you might do $1 million per order, right? If your average order is $1 million and you're doing 10 million online, you might not need that much infrastructure. You're only getting 10 orders a year, right? So every business is a little different, and we'll take you through that journey. We'll help you. So Jack, if you wanted to reach out to me directly, again, I can walk you through it. I have some of those questions. I could share them with you, and we can help get you in touch with the right people to get a handle on the cost. The other one I'm seeing here is from Annie. I already have Magento open source. Can your solution work for me? So that's a good question. And it's actually not something that we spoke about earlier. So before we break, I think it's worth to talk about that. Adobe Commerce, we work with Adobe Commerce. Adobe Commerce used to be called Magento Commerce. A lot of people are familiar with Magento open source. That's the original version of Magento, and that's the free version of Magento. Sounds great, right? Like something that could cost $40,000 to $40,000 can be free, but one of the reasons why Adobe chose to change the name of Magento Commerce to Adobe Commerce was to create that differentiation, to make sure that people realized that the feature set that's in the free version is not even close to that's in the enterprise version. So when you're looking at Adobe Commerce, you have B2B. Open source has no B2B functionality. Adobe Commerce has the page. Right. Adobe Magento Commerce does not. Artificial intelligence, Adobe Sensei technology for those machine learning recommendations, that's not there. So if you want that predictable model to integrate with, especially as it relates to B2B, you want Adobe Commerce. That being said, many of the workflows that we have in place do work the same for Adobe Commerce and for Adobe and for the open source solution for Magento. So if you came to us and you said, I just need to sync inventory and my orders, right? That stuff we can do because the structure on those isn't too much different. But when we start getting into B2B functionality like pricing and, setting up customers automatically and those types of things, that's where we might struggle a little bit. If you have it built and there's a good documentation around how you've built some of these customizations out, let's say you're a B2B company on open source and you built your own B2B solution on top of it, we can look at that and we can see and make an evaluation. We can make it work. Again, there's nothing we can't do. We definitely can, but it's not necessarily the intended use case because it's not necessarily predictable. So I hope that gave a little insight. And, you also kind of gave me a little idea for a follow-up webinar. Maybe one day, let's do, what's the difference between Adobe Commerce and Adobe open source, and an open source. That might be something good to put out there.
Absolutely. Well, Adam, we appreciate the time today. We appreciate the partnership. I'm sure we'll get a lot of good opportunities from this and be able to help a lot of people open up that marketplace and expand their business online.
It's really, really great seeing everybody today. Thank you again, Aaron. It's hopefully we'll get together in person again soon, and all the coordination, and let's do this again. I hope you all enjoyed your meals, and have a great day, great weekend, everyone.
Thank you so much.